My name is Daniel Alfaro, and
What do you do?
I work at UCSD, at UC San Diego, as the program manager for the undocumented student services. So I'm originally from Querétaro, Mexico. My family is from throughout Mexico. When I was 11 years old, we decided to leave Mexico to come to the US. We were lucky that we had visas to be able to come in legally to the US. And so we settled in Escondido, California, and that's where my family has been ever since we came to the US. I started middle school there, I went to high school, and because of my immigration status, I had to stay locally, so I went to Cal State San Marcos for my undergraduate degree. I was accepted into 2 other institutions, and even though I wanted to go somewhere else, there was just no financial aid, no student support services for me to go, so my only option was really to go to Cal State San Marcos. And it wasn't a bad option, but I wish I had the opportunity to go somewhere else to explore and go somewhere else essentially. Our move was temporary. Yeah. We came thinking we're gonna be here for a year, we're gonna be here for maybe 2 years, make enough money to then return to Mexico. And the first year passed and we weren't ready to go back. Second year passed and we were not ready to go back. And so that became a long-term stay in the US. We were just never really making enough money to go back to Mexico. But our plan was to go back. My entire family continues to be in Mexico. I remember as I was finishing middle school and then going into high school thinking, okay, I can finish 8th grade, go into 9th grade, and I can still return to Mexico and continue my education there and join my friends, join my family, right? So for me, it took many years to realize that I wasn't gonna go back. And I think for my mom, it took even longer. She still had that hope that one day she was gonna go back. I was fortunate to be able to adjust my immigration status, and through that, then help my mom adjust her immigration status. And so we now call the U.S. our home. We are fortunate to be able to go back now to Mexico and visit our family members. My mom, in the last 2 years, after 20 years of not being able to go back to Mexico, she was able to reconnect with family and friends. And so we now call the U.S. our home. It will be our permanent home. My younger sister was not born in the U.S., but she was brought to the U.S. when she was 6 months old. This is the only home she knows. Her Spanish is a little not the best, and so she has no friends in Mexico. She doesn't know most of our family in Mexico. So this is her home. As a teen, and I think given that we were undocumented, we just accepted that as this is how life is here in the U.S. There will be discrimination. We will need to run away from Border Patrol. I remember vividly my mom telling me, living in Escondido, that I needed to be careful because Border Patrol was just around the corner. And I remember getting calls from her, text messages from her, hey, I got word that Border Patrol is at our local food market. You need to come right home. You need to come home now. And so that was part of it. But I grew up just thinking that was the norm. This is just how it is in the U.S. We live in Escondido. This is a very conservative city. Police is working in direct collaboration with Border Patrol and ICE, and this is just how it is. So that's how it was for me to grow up in Escondido, in a city so conservative, known as Little Arizona, right? And so it became the norm. So in 2016, I had the opportunity to join UC San Diego as a coordinator and now the program manager of undocumented student services. And it was an opportunity for me to make a difference in the undocumented student population. I was undocumented when I went through college. There were very few support systems for undocumented students. There was no financial aid. We were allowed to pay in-state tuition if we meet certain requirements, but that was it. And so for me, I struggled to stay in school. I was a 5th-year student. I needed to work full-time. I needed to only take part-time classes or go part-time. And so it was a struggle for me to finish my career. And those opportunities to study abroad were not available to me. Opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities were just not there for me. Either I was going to work and pay for my tuition, or participate and volunteer and be part of an internship. Mm-hmm. And so when I came to UCSD, my goal was to change that for other students. My goal was to change that for the next generation. Mm-hmm. I'm now in charge of providing programs and services that open up doors for students, providing grants so that they can do internships, so that they can participate in conferences. We're currently in the process of creating a domestic exchange program where our students will be able to go to other states and take classes in other institutions within the US, right? We don't have the opportunity to send them abroad, but we've created an alternative for them. And that's currently what I'm doing at UCSD, is opening doors for the students, creating alternatives, and hopefully eliminating some of those barriers that prevented me and that made it difficult for me to finish my education. There's definitely a lot of fear, and our goal on campus, and my goal personally, is to continue to advocate for the students, for their families. I'm not advocating for just the passage of immigration reform that is going to help just the students, but I'm looking for something that is going to help their families, our day laborers, our farmers, our housekeepers, right? Our construction workers. Everyone is deserving of an opportunity here in the U.S. They've demonstrated that they're valued members of our community, and so my support is not only through the services that I provide, but my biggest way of being an ally now to my students and to my undocumented community is by advocating for change, by continuing to push back on the rhetoric, by continuing to push back on anti-immigrant policies, by opening the doors to my community so that they can continue to live a better life. I feel very lucky that we also came to the U.S. and that we settled in Escondido. When I first stepped in the U.S., my thought of the U.S. was that it was going to be all white people, everything was going to be in English, and that I wasn't going to have any friends, that I wasn't going to be able to relate to anyone. We ended up moving to Escondido, where a large percentage of the population is Latino, Mexican, and so I felt that I was at home. I felt that I could connect with my neighbor. I felt that I could speak to someone at the store in Spanish, and that was very welcoming. For me, the culture clash was not as extreme as other people experience it. For me, having that opportunity to settle in a place where it was where I could see people like me was very helpful. So in a way, I'm very thankful for that. But it was also the racism, the conservatism, the presence of Border Patrol and ICE agents constantly in the community was something that I grew up with.
Yeah, it was normalized.
It was normalized.